Hi, welcome to Building SaaS with Python and Django. My name is Matt Lehman, and on this stream, we work on a Django app. It's called Journey Inbox. It's a journaling service, and we're going to continue on building this out, making sure that it does everything we need to. And the focus for this stream is going to be on Stripe integration. We started that last time, and it's not quite finished. I'll move that out of the way. There. I have a shoulder, I promise. And we're going to continue on that path to integrating Stripe. So there's a lot to do. You're welcome to ask me anything about Python, Django, or web development. That's the purpose of this stream. It's both to build a real product. I guess I should say that every bit of code that is developed here is streamed live. I don't do anything offline. It's to give you the full experience of what is it like to build an app from scratch and get it live out on the web and serving real customers. That's the hope anyway. Right now, the only real customer is me. I'm using it on a daily basis. So let's get into it. But before we do, we'll do one quick pull request as like kind of a cleanup task. We've got some pre-commit stuff, so we'll hit the merge button here. So we start from a fresh slate. It's upgrading our pre-commit hooks, and that gets us into the right spot. So that's a minor thing. Let's look at the milestone. We're on this issue, Stripe. It's issue number 7. And last time we talked about integrating DJ Stripe. That's the Django Stripe integration, so the thing that pairs them together and gives you access to your Stripe data inside of your own Django database. That was what we focused on. And honestly, it's been a couple of weeks, so I'm not fresh on this. Can't remember quite where we are, so we'll have to jump on this together. I think we were going to figure out the new options that were available for Stripe and what we were going to try. That's this third bullet here. And then we had to figure out some stuff about trials and betas, and we can chat about some of these things. So that's where we're going to go. I think there was yes, I remember now. So there's a bunch of things that we looked at last time. We kind of ended with how do you test out Stripe with Django using the Stripe documentation? What do they give you? There's ways to check their webhooks and all the things that we're going to need to actually test this end to end. We will explore each of these pieces as we need them. But there was also the thing on here that I've noted is that there was a view that is provided by DJ Stripe that we might be able to use that handles checkout stuff. So I'm going to try and think of this maybe as a flow that we want to go through. What's the expected flow that we desire out of this, and then we can dig into some code. So time to go to the Stripe documentation, and let's see what we can learn here or remind ourselves. So we've got Stripe checkout. That's the thing that we're going to do. And if you remember, there were two formats that you could use. There was one where it's a Stripe hosted page, or there's another where you can have it embedded on your site as something that could feel native. The embedded option wasn't available last time I did this with my homeschooling application, so that would be pretty interesting if we could get this right in there to make it feel like our app. That would be pretty cool. It might also give us the power to show a plans page of like what are the different options that people can sign up for. If Stripe could build that for us rather than having to do that ourselves, that'd be pretty awesome. We're not doing one-time payments, but what is that? There was a bunch of options and stuff listed here. So trying to get my head on straight of what I want to do first. Sorry, y'all. I'm coming at this a little distracted this evening. Let's think about this for a moment. Okay. What flow do I want? The way this app is going to work is you're going to be able to sign up for the app and not have to pay. And there will be a window of time, like 2 weeks or so, where you can use it for free. So you have a trial. At the end of that period of time, you are either going to let your trial expire, you didn't like the service, no harm, no foul. You got a couple weeks of opportunity to use it, and then you can export your data if you want. Like, I'm not going to lock your data away. That'd be cruel. So give users that opportunity to export at any time, regardless of whether they are a trial user or regular user. But assuming that there will be people that actually want to use this journaling service and continue using it, then they need to be able to pay. So that's where the checkout flow comes in. Go through the checkout flow, get to the other side, and the user should be an active member in the system. That's the ultimate state that we want them in. We'll want to have taken payment from them via Stripe and so forth. So we got to do whatever it takes to enable that model. And I think it's probably worth writing down some of those steps of that flow, because I don't think I've described this anywhere. We have, yeah, it's kind of worth, like, I don't know, maybe should we get some documentation going? It's not a complicated flow, so I don't know if it's really worth it to make long-term documentation. So let's just jot some notes down with this issue so that we can use this as our guide of, and that will help us answer, like, what's the piece that's needed next? I'm going to come down here and put in a section for what is the flow that we want. We'll start with this. So sequence is user signs up for free. And at that time, so simultaneously, their 14-day trial begins. So the journaling service itself is each day the user receives an email prompt they can respond to build their journal. It's probably some fancy way I could use Mermaid to show a sequence diagram here, but I don't think we need that. Okay, so they're using the app, hopefully happy. 14 days ends. Realistically, I'm probably going to do like 15 to 16 days to give some grace, because I don't want anybody. It's twofold. It's like, one, to be nice, but also to ease any support burden, because you could potentially deal with like tire kickers who are like, you didn't actually give me 14 free days and then you want to charge me, you're a jerk. I don't want anybody to be able to claim that, even remotely. So if we err on, we're just going to give you like 48 hours extra, then nobody has that opportunity. All right, so 14 days ends, and the account status will naturally shift to trial expired if they do that. And there's actually another flow in here. So maybe you decide, so there's like an intermediate step. There's during the trial, the user is happy and they sign up to pay for the service. So that would kick off our sign up flow, or our payment flow, which we need to model out. But I think that's a possibility. So at the end of the trial, I'm trying to think if should we message them saying like, your trial's expired, now's your chance to sign up. So there's probably like some kind of there's a term out there for when you're trying to recover accounts. It's not Dunning-Kruger, is that? It's something else. No, that's a cognitive bias thing. I don't know. There's a term that I'm blanking out that if I saw it, it's probably in the same, probably starts with D or K. Okay. My brain is making a weird association right now. Anyway, well, it's not coming to me. So if anybody knows in the comments, you can drop it in there and I'll comment on it. But there's an idea of like how you get people to actually sign up that has somebody's name associated with it. But what I was really trying to get at is that we will have an email go out to ask for the sign up. Because if you don't even attempt to make the sale, then A lot of people just ignore it, be like they maybe forgot about it, but it's a good reminder. So ask for the sale. Okay, so if either of this line of they voluntarily go into the pipeline, or they come into after this email and come into the pipeline, they go into they need to go to a page to actually do like the checkout process. Proceed to checkout process. And we need to think about like a home for that, because I want to make it super easy. So where do we put that? So this could be let's think through. There are a bunch of places where we could start this, and I want to have there be multiple options. So one place, oops. This is outside the flow. So places to start payment flow. One is, I think during a trial period, if you're trialing, I think we could have a persistent banner across the top of any page, so that there's just like an ever-present reminder that, hey, you're in a trial. You want to sign up for more than trial, click here to start the flow. So put a top banner to let people know, let people know that sign up or payment is possible. Okay, that's one place to put it. For this app, I've been thinking, oh, I see your comment there, John. I'll read that in just a second. For this app, I'm thinking that I want the like main page. Like, I'm not looking for a single page application here. That's not the goal. But I'd like the main page to do like serve multiple purposes. If you're unauthenticated, I want it to be the marketing page. But if you log in, like I want people to be dropped right on the root domain and see their like latest journal entry and their like bit of UI. So maybe the main page can also be a place that has your status is still in trialing, or you still have a trial status, sign up now kind of thing. So let's say put a CTA, that's a call to action, button right on the index page. Okay. For completeness, there will be ultimately like some kind of an account management section. Like we've talked a little bit about time zones and stuff. So there's going to be a couple settings that I think will be relevant. So maybe there could be a CTA in a user settings page too. Now, I'm writing all these down, but we may get to this point where because remember, the goal here is not to like make this super polished yet. The goal is to get the app to a state where people can sign up and have a fighting chance of completing that sign up flow. I think what that means is we only need one of these entry points. And the simplest one, frankly, is probably going to be putting it right on the index page, where you can you're logged in and you can do that. So I think that's where we're going to go after, but I'm trying to just be complete about where my brain is going with this. All right, let me read your comments now. Pydantic. You know, John, your timing is very fortuitous here. So I have recently been using Pydantic. I'll bring it up real quick. So on the side, I've been trying to help, I'll even show it. So I've been working with my local community in town, and I've been building a community website that is for specifically Frederick, Maryland. That's where I live. And the goal here is to partner, we have a bunch of meetups in town that there's not a ton of them, but it's enough that when they're clustered together, they can kind of have a full calendar of events and stuff. But not everybody uses meetup.com. So my objective with having a community website is to aggregate those things together, generate a static website that's fast, that's mobile responsive, that has all of the information that people might want to know, and then be able to link that to our local tech community. We have a tech nonprofit. It's actually literally called Tech Frederick. So I mean, you can probably see the URL here, or I don't know how well you can see that actually. It says community.mattlehman.com. So right now, I'm hooking this particular website up to my own personal domain, and that's because I have the DNS access to make this on a subdomain. In the future, I'd like to be able to shift this to my local nonprofit, so it would be community.techfrederick.org. That's a down the road thing. So I have been building out this site for a couple weeks, and I use Pydantic to help out. And this code is all freely available to go look at. So if you're curious of how I've been doing it, it is at this GitHub URL, and in fact, I'll drop it in the comments. I started out this project using a JavaScript library or a tool. So I started with Next.js. My thought process there was, I'm going to use Next.js because I think JavaScript is like something that newer people like to get in, like new developers end up learning about, and it's pretty popular and supposed to be a good tool. I think what I quickly discovered is that Next.js was way overkill for what we were trying to do. And so what I ended up doing is I built something custom, and it's a small Python thing. It literally, it's not very smart, actually. It's just like a command that you run, and it builds everything, and then it's done. It's like so it runs through some Jinja templates, and it reads data that we've stored directly into the repository. I don't know why GitHub is going slowly on here. Come on, GitHub. There it goes. Okay. So to your question, John, I have been using Pydantic, and I used it for some very basic models. So I'm reading data from Meetup using the Meetup API, and I'm pulling out the group information as much as I can, and I'm adding a little bit of extra information, and essentially taking the data from the API and persisting it to this little data directory. It has a bunch of YAML files. So here's an example. Oops, that's okay. Doesn't look very good because it's a table, but if we look at the raw format of it, it's a very simple YAML file that then is separated and has a description that gets rendered. So that ends up looking like that was the AWS meetup in town. So I go over here and you can see that. So this stuff all blends together, and I take the events and I've persisted them. I take the meetups and I've persisted them, and I'm kind of like mashing all this stuff together. And to do that, I'm using Pydantic, and I haven't frankly used a lot of Pydantic. I've not done a lot of validation. It's been pretty much a quick and easy way to do data classes. Like I could have done the same thing with Python's built-in data classes and probably have been fine. But I've appreciated Pydantic for what it's done here. So I've got these base models, and then somewhere in these repositories, so I've used a repository pattern. I've wrapped up the models to build this myself. And then I can have some persistence stuff here that will actually like dump out the Pydantic data it will call, here you can see the save command. It calls model dump. And so that creates a dictionary and just integrates with YAML to serialize that out. So not a very complicated setup for this stuff, but I have found Pydantic to be pretty awesome in that way and very quick. So I've been happy with it. Curso de Robotica, thanks for the comment. Appreciate that. Hadi, looking at your question here. We want to build an API. We go to third-party Django REST framework. Does Django have its own package to build an API? Not really. Django has some tools, but part of the reason that Django REST framework exists is because the tools that are in Django itself are pretty rudimentary. I think I was actually listening to Chat Django or Django Chat. I always get that they have like their handles and domain website are one as the other, so I can never remember the order of the podcast. It must be Django Chat because I'm pretty sure it's the same order as my own podcast, Django Riffs, just with a different word. Anyway, so Carlton on Django Chat was chatting about a feature that he'd like to see. I was actually listening to this yesterday, literally while shoveling snow outside, and he was saying that if he could snap his fingers and make a change to Django, he would want to see us, the Django community, have better content type management in views, or content type negotiation, I think it was. I don't remember exactly how he phrased it, but essentially the idea of if you make a request to a view and you say you're asking for JSON, that it can be better about responding with a JSON API. So that would be one, like at the view layer, what you would need to make APIs easier. And the other thing that would have to go along with that is some kind of serialization. So I don't know if maybe you've played with Django REST framework, maybe you haven't, but a big part of DRF is this notion of a serializer, where you take your model and you know how to transform it into an output format that is going to be most likely JSON data, although there are serializers for XML and other format types. And Django doesn't really have that natively. And I say that there's like some remote corner in my head that says there's something, but I think it's more for fixture usage, like a serializer there. But I'm getting a little deep into corners of Django that I have not touched for years. So it doesn't have a robust serialization system, I'll put it that way. And so in order to make APIs really a first-class citizen of Django by default without Django REST framework, it would need some of those kind of features so that you wouldn't have to reach for other packages. All that's to say, Django REST framework is pretty awesome. So with a simple addition of one extra package, you can get a ton of cool features with not a lot of work. So I definitely recommend DRF if you can use it. Okay, so that's my thought on APIs and my thoughts on Pydantic. Hopefully that gives you some clarity there, John. All right, let's jump over to here and figure out where we want to go next. So if this is the flow, we already have a process for sign up. We don't strictly at this stage need to actually think about ending trials. We could technically leave trials open forever. That's not to my benefit as the person operating the site. I don't want to just give like free access to everyone. But we could. So like if we're looking for minimum viable product, we could just ignore that and assume that like the next thing that we need to do is after somebody signs up for a trial, they want to be able to complete their checkout stuff and move their trial to its full status. I'm really struggling on like what to call that though. Like how do I message that? I don't remember what I called it in homeschool. So that's my brain is like really fuzzy today. Let's see if I can go jog my memory by looking at School Desk and see if there's anything takeaways we can take. I'm not on my game today, it seems. So we've got start your free trial. Then both of those things are free trial. This just takes you to the sign up page. There's nothing to do here yet. That's that. So I don't remember. I don't know that we can see it quickly. This is the journal. Okay, here's the homeschool app. And because we looked at some of this stuff. There's the billing portal session. There's the views. So let's go to the account views. Whoops. All right, there's a subscription. So maybe the language that I want to be using is subscription index or subscription. Let's go check out the subscriptions index page, see what's there. Plans. Okay. I don't know why my brain was like really struggling to come up with what's the right way to proceed, you know, once somebody's happy. Yeah, we want some of the same kind of language here. To continue using Journey Inbox after your trial is over, you need to select a plan. I think that's right. And we could put this on our index page after you're authenticated as the starting point. Let's see, is there, yeah. This is where we start to get stuff that I've embedded. So, okay, let's talk strategy for this. I must confess that I don't know that this is the best way to do this. Some people might look at this and be like, ooh, you're opening yourself up to dangerous data scenarios. Is this the thing that I could hear? Yes, Huddy, so yes, you're correct. This is so I got a new green screen. That's what you're seeing. So every time, so that's the corner, it's a rounded thing that's attached to my chair. And I haven't quite figured out how to like optimize it, because if you can see my hands, like they go out of frame. So I've got my camera, and I've got my camera so that it's like kind of chopped in on me. But if it gets too narrow, then my hands go out of frame, and I can't actually express that way. But if I go too big and I move my chair side to side, you can see. You can see some of that background. So I talked about this last week. I am intending to make this a little better so that that little corner that kind of pops in there will not be so present, but it's not there yet. So thanks for the observation, though. Maybe I need to invest in a bigger green screen, because I've got a wall behind me that I could use. Anyway, so sorry, getting back to this. The way I did this with homeschool was I created a chunk of JavaScript right in here, and this is where kind of some people could look at this and be like, "What are you doing?" Because this is literally a block of JavaScript in a script tag in a Django template, and then within that chunk of JavaScript, I am treating that itself as a template and rendering out values. And I'm stuffing them into variables here. So my point of view on this is, hey, it's fine. It's like a poor man's code generation tool, and generates just in time the JavaScript that I need. So we may use something like this. But the way that I did this was I had it on a very dedicated page. And this chunk of JavaScript, to call it out, this is the thing that has to create the session that then would kick a user from School Desk over to Stripe. And Stripe was managing the checkout process. So if you wanted to pay, we'd create a session and we'd give like, which price are you planning to use? figure out all that stuff because they've selected it through the UI, and it will create the session, send you over with the plan selected. You fill out the account details, and we give the API call a callback of like, here's the URL that you should come back to after you're done. And this is all the flow that's in here. So this is the JavaScript. But this was like the 2 years ago way to do it. Maybe this has gotten easier. Maybe it's exactly the same. I don't know. But that's something that we'll have to work through. And we'll have to have different plans and stuff and that. If I could get away with, here's some things I want to think about perhaps differently here. If we want to be faster, I could hard code some stuff. So the part of the reason why I have this is I built in, if we go back to the view file over here and take a look at it, there's probably a plan somewhere in here. Nope, not a plan. Price? Oh, but it's probably coming from the gateway. Yep. So the gateway is got a price object attached to it. And this price object comes from DJ Stripe, and it brought all that in. And so it's very dynamic, and it's maximally flexible. But one way I could do this potentially, if I didn't care that much, is just say like, you know what? I'm gonna go configure Stripe. I'm gonna create a couple plans there. I know what they're gonna be. I know what the IDs are gonna be. I know what I'm gonna have a monthly and an annual, and I'm not gonna change it for a long time. And just kind of hard code some values here on like, instead of setting this and pull out the ID. I don't know. Maybe there's a good trade-offs of doing that. One of the advantages is simplicity. Downside is like testing. Like it means that my testing IDs would have to match up to my production ID. So it may not be possible. That's something to consider. So let's go do this. Like let's not think about the level of polish on this. We don't need fancy copy. Those like the marketing copy, the words that we want to say to use to people to get them to sign up. We just need a button that says, activate your account or select a plan or whatever it is. What's the button that did I give it a button name here? Oh. Okay. So I have two separate calls to action here of like, one is go monthly and go annual. So there's just two different buttons. And it kind of bakes the choice into the button, which is a good idea. So we could have those two buttons, or we could have one button to start of maybe I only even want to offer one plan right now. Maybe it's not worth setting up an annual plan. Just like, you want to pay monthly. That's how I'm doing it. Yeah, it's probably the lowest friction way. Okay, so sorry y'all, I've had like, there's a lot to like load in my head for this context of this particular problem. So I know I've been doing a lot of talking and we've been going over various options, but it's necessary for me to get all this down because you could see this is like, there's quite a bit to this particular integration that we have to think through. And I want to be able to break it down. Maybe one more thing before we advance is there's this Stripe checkout view, and we should check that out. We should actually go look at it. So they don't have their link here properly, but it's in the test apps examples view, create checkout session view. That might be informative. Okay. Let's go look at that and then get into some actual like maybe Stripe docs or start just kind of block in on the index page of the buttons we want to have. So we've got all of our files here. Let's go into the virtual environment and let's go into lib Python 3.11. site packages, DJ Stripe. Nope, DJ Stripe. And this was under, where did they say? Tests, apps, example. So is there a test directory? What? Did they not ship with their tests? Huh? I think maybe they don't ship with their tests. Well, that's wild. Okay. No, they don't. Fascinating. Tests, apps, example. What was it? Oh shoot, I lost it. Just in views? Okay. Login required. Okay, so they're saying like you have to be authenticated before you can try to do a checkout session. Very sensible. They've got this checkout template. They are putting, what is this style? That is wild. That is the most interesting way I've seen something be added to a dictionary. Alexander, let me read your comment here. Oh, okay. Your mechanic schedule. That sounds cool. I wish you luck. Now, clearly I've biased towards Django, but Flask is a great tool too. So that'd be a fun project. So we've got the public key. We know that will be needed to do this checkout session. So that's feeling pretty familiar with what I was doing for my subscriptions index page that we saw. And they're building the success URL in here. Now notice that they use this build absolute URI. That's because when you build a URL in Django and you use the URL option, that what it does is it gives you from the root. It gives you like /settings/ it doesn't give you journeyinbox.com/settings/. It's free of the HTTP scheme and the domain. And so by calling build absolute URI along with reverse, that gives the full URL. And you need this because this is a thing that gets passed off to Stripe, and you need two URLs, like both they did it and then they said, you know what, actually never mind. So you need to provide these two URLs, and they have to come back to your domain. Stripe is not just going to say like, oh, you came from this domain, so let me just put your domain together. It's like it's on you to actually provide that full thing. So this makes sense so far. Get the ID of the model instance of the Stripe subscriber model. So they're assuming it's a user. I think, did we say it would be the user, or did we pick a different? I don't remember if we picked one. What did we pick? We talked about it. I just don't remember if we picked the account. No, I think we must have said user's fine. Yeah. So ours would be just like this. And example of how to insert the subscriber customer key. Subscriber customer key. Okay. Interesting. They are trying to pull the customer. Why do they have it in a gigantic try block? Well. I would not do this. Or this is not a style that I find appealing. The challenge I find with this is that there's a lot of code in here. Anytime I see a try except, what I'm trying to do is make the code safe from exceptions. And when you have a try and you have all of this code in here, you don't necessarily know what could be the thing that's raising the exception. Now, it turns out that this is actually just one gigantic call with a lot of things listed here. So maybe that's what they intended. But I think what I would have done differently is I would have moved the accept up to line 70 here, and then either had an early return or some other processing here to indicate that we're going to process differently. But by having these, like, there's a lot of repeated data in here. If you look, like, all this line items is the same, the mode is the same, so you got to figure out, like, what did they do differently between them? And it's not real clear on what that is. I think maybe the only difference is that this one is called with customer and this one is not. That seems to be the case. So, you know, how else could you have done this? One way you could have done it is you could have actually collected all of the arguments in terms of a dictionary. So you could put payment types, all that sort of stuff, as just one separated dictionary. And then you do the fetch on customer, and if it finds it, it would insert into that dictionary with a customer key and then the ID as the value. And then you'd call the session create thing one time, and you'd use the ** on the dictionary arguments that you'd built to make all of those arguments turn into the keyword arguments that are being shown here. So it's a different style of calling it, and it would have saved a lot of code here that is repeated. So that's an observation that I have there. All right, then they've got a couple templates here for the success view. And what is this? Purchase subscription. Maybe this is just something totally different. Yeah, this is like if you're doing it yourself, I think. Oh yeah, this is way more. So I think we're kind of like all we really need to learn here was about this flow right here. So we need to have the public key, we need to have these URLs that are built in there, we need to be able to create, we have to create this session thing, which is a call. This is an actual call to the Stripe API. Notice this is not DJ Stripe, this is actually the Stripe API. And pass in all of that stuff. And then that gets, that thing, the session ID gets added to the context. All right, now it's important that we go look. This isn't going to be complete or make sense unless we also look at this checkout HTML and see what they're doing on the other side. So let's go to the templates and look at checkout HTML and see what we can find. Now, curiously, this is not all that different from what I did. What is the difference, actually? And I'm wondering now, like, I'm looking at this, so there's something about this that's noticeable to me, is that I am including a price ID to select as part of the fetch call here, but I don't know that they're doing that. This might have gotten easier. I don't remember this redirect to checkout thing. Oh, there it is. So I had this on-click handler that calls the checkout session thing, prepares the session, and then it calls redirect to checkout. They're calling redirect to checkout right away. That's interesting. And the other thing that was interesting about it, to me, is that they're putting, do they only have one price? Maybe that's it. Okay. I think they can get away with this because there's only one price. So if we take that strategy of you're signing up for this journaling service, we're only going to offer one price initially of a monthly rate and not worry about annual, then maybe we can keep this easier. That's kind of cool. Now, this is actually pretty curious to me that I don't get this. It seems like they're creating it dynamically. That's weird to me. Like, we are using a price that is created in advance on the Stripe side and referencing that. So that's a big noticeable difference. And maybe this is a way to avoid, like you could, if you avoid creating a price object and you're just creating it, I don't know what this does. Like, does it create a new price instance on every sale? It seems kind of strange. Like there's something about this that's unusual to me. Okay, that's informative. I think it's time for us to go check out the Stripe documentation. Or should we, let's do a little bit of code first. Let's put in the button that we're going to have. And we want the button, sorry. I'm just thinking, I'm coming back to this thing. Do we want embedded form or not? I think the more I think about this, I'm okay with a Stripe hosted page. Stripe hosted page will launch you there, and then you have you fill in the details, then you come back. It's probably fine. Okay. So, time to go. Let's go to templates, core, index. And let's start this local dev server. And we want to get to the index page. We want to be working on this. Well, do we have somebody signed up already? We do. So here is our completely blank index page. Well, almost completely blank. It needs to be reworked to be, so we got some work to do here. We have to use the base template that we're not using yet. We have a base template. This has got our actual stuff in it. We need to fill out some of these things. And okay. No. Yeah. Let's ditch all this stuff. Let's do extends base HTML. And we need two things if we're going to follow this truly. We have a block for the title. And we can end that block. I kind of grimaced a little bit because this is the part that I'm not. I went back and forth about this. What if I don't? Here's what I'm thinking. Here we have this title thing, and then we have an end dash and journey inbox. But for this main page, I think I just wanted to say like journey inbox. So how could we do that? one option is to say like, you know what, it's every page's responsibility to add the n-journey inbox to extend this. That kind of stinks. There's probably some template features that we could use. Let's go look at the Django template reference. Okay. It doesn't have block on it, so this is not the full reference. Where are we? We're on the topics. We want the reference documentation. Because Django's kind of split, and it's got a topical section, but it also has a reference section. This is an overview. For details, we want to go to this. Here we go. That's all right. Feedback for the Django site. It's kind of confusing. So here they're showing a title thing. Base generic Because the thing I want to do is like I only want to show the n-journey inbox when I want there to be like a default. If there's no block, what do you do in the default case, right? How would I do that? Because I think the other tools that like in Jinja you have like a super call. I don't think there's any equivalent to super. There's an equivalent to super. If you need to get the content of the block from the parent, okay, so maybe this is what we want. If you want to add to the contents of the block parent block, instead of just overriding it, use block super. So let's say, like let's do this. If we took this end block and we put it here, now we've got our main title block is n-journey inbox, which is kind of what we want to include on every page, right? So then, if we have the sign up page, which didn't even define the title block, sign up page, we want it to say sign up as an action. We want to say block title, and then we want to do sign up, and then we want block super, like that. That's that content. And we want to end the block. I'm trying to decide if this is any better. I guess it is better because if I ever wanted to change the n dash or something like that, then I only have to change it in a single place. Okay. Something about this isn't feeling quite right to me. Like it's not quite the best solution. Like there's a simpler way to do this. But I think it's going to work for what we need for now. Let's go test it out. not on that page. We want to be on account. We want to log out. We can actually get to the sign up page again, or sign up page again. Yes. And then let's go to accounts, sign up. So now we've got up here, might be kind of hard to see, is sign up journey inbox. That's cool. And now if we go to the main page, it has nothing right now. But I think we can come back to this and we can actually, I think now we're ready to do this. Now we can do just journey inbox. And that's that. And if we refresh this, I refreshed the chat by accident. We refresh this, we get journey inbox at the top. It's great. All right, let me think this through one more time, see if I'm actually content with this or if this is dumb. Because I could use this as a way to do a little bit of marketing. Okay, let's rethink this. Let's actually back this out, or let's change this to not call super. Let's go back to the expectation that every page should set a title, and the title that it sets should not be complicated. So let's move the end block back to this spot. So everything is going to have an end dash. Now, the impact of that right now is if I refresh the index page, why does it keep going to that as my chat box? Stop doing that. Stay over here, please. Like I'm trying to just alt tab. So what I've got now, though, looks silly. It says journey inbox, journey inbox. But if we like shift our minds a little bit, we can say, you know what? Instead of calling out the name of the tool here, maybe it's a tagline of saying like, your digital journal. Oh, that's so bad. No, let's make it more like action oriented. And this is going to even vary. We're going to be able to control on authenticated or unauthenticated. Zephyr, is that Monokai? Good question. I don't remember. Well, I'll give you a quick answer. So let's do a split on my vimrc Monokai. Yes, it is Zephyr Monokai. I don't think too much about my my themes. Important part of my themes is some of the red that has to be there. I don't know why I like that, but I do. Yeah, me too. I like how it looks in the HTML. And it's nice and colorful. I like it. I like that brightness. I appreciate the contrast. Like some people love their themes and they're just so washed out. And if that's you, if you're in the chat and you like have a super muted theme, more power to you. But for me, it doesn't work well. All right, so I do not like this your digital journal business. It looks like it feels so cheesy, so cheesy. What if we just said journal your life? Journal your life. That's kind of that's what a journal is. It's about okay. Track your journey. I kind of like, this is feeling right. Because it, Journey Inbox is, again, the theme that I want with this is like going to the mountains, going like into the woods, and tracking also brings up that notion of like hunting tracking. And now I'm not going to lean into, it's not going to be like an icon that has like crossed guns or something like that. That's not what I'm going for. But this maybe is more on track. So anyway, the point is, like, we can workshop that if it's not good, but the point is we can use this son of a gun. That's really driving me nuts. It's like every time I'm alt tabbing, it's coming over here to my chat window. Super, super, super annoying. So when I have refresh now, the point being is that we can like use this as like little tagline, and if we come up with a better tagline, we could put it at the top. But it's a bit of like a marketing page. And then when you're logged in, we could say home or something along those lines. Keep it simple. There's a certain amount of doing something creative versus sticking to idioms that people know and recognize. And that one probably is okay. Home. In fact, let's do that now. What will that look like? So in the title block, it would literally be, and I think this can be on multiple lines and it's fine. I don't think it's going to mess with the title tags. Remember, this is actually just like right in the title tag. And the title tag is not going to care about new lines because most HTML doesn't. So if we make this go over multiple lines instead, it should be fine. Like if I do that, hey, finally didn't go to the chat thing. So still says track your journey with the end dash where we want it to. And the reason I did that is we want to be able to then come in here and say, if user is authenticated, then we want something like home. Otherwise, we want this track your journey thing. And do an end if right here. Okay. And then like make it not horrible on the spacing. Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you, John. Like, I think that's where we're going here. Like, I think it's just going to be way simpler because because what's going to happen is if I go that other strategy where I need to call super all the time, I'm going to forget on some page. And then there's going to be some page that's missing the end dash journey inbox, and it's going to look out of place and just be annoying. So I'm going to avoid that. Okay, still says track your journey. We can log in on the admin. Oh boy. Read me, help me. Matt, create horse. Create horse. And then if we return now to the site, okay, now it says home journey inbox. So pretty simple kind of change. Zephyr, I did add Tailwind. Yeah, I added that 2 or 3 streams ago. So we've got Tailwind, and you can actually see it here. It's watching our template files, and we've got this built in to Heroku local. So I'll show that very briefly. I don't want to get too far out from where we are. But our proc file has this npm run watch command, and our package JSON is calling this Tailwind command. So we've got Tailwind going, and it is awesome. Tailwind is actually, so we went so far as to kind of pick color themes, which again I'm blanking out on. I think it's somewhere on here. Ah, yeah, right. I'll eventually burn this into my brain, but BG, so Lime 800 on the current Tailwind is the color that we're going to have. That's a very deep kind of foresty green. that we'll use as the primary color for the site. And then I don't know that we picked any other color. I think we just stuck with green for now. Okay, so important here. All right, so actually we need to make a choice. And the choice is on what we want to do. And I think I'm already thinking I want to separate this. So we have this index page. And I've said that with this particular app, the index page is going to serve very different purposes. If you are logged out, then it will be like a marketing page of, I don't want like a separate pricing page. I want it to be a single page that tells you, like sells you right away of like, here's what you're signing up for. This is a very simple site. Here's like why journaling is cool over email. It's really powerful. And then at the bottom, there'll be like a sign up for your free trial, like all in a single place. So that's the unauthenticated view. On the authenticated side, so after you're signed in, that same page should be able to say like, what's your latest journal entry? Like if you want to view it and see it just show up there, that'd be kind of cool. You need links to settings pages and whatever. Or you want to have, like I said earlier, the call to action to actually activate your account is going to be on this page. So this scheme over here, with having this separation in a title block, is not something that I want to replicate, because then I'd have to do that on the content block or any other blocks that I create. I think what I want to do is I want to go to the view and have two separate index pages. One that goes to renders the authenticated experience, and then one that renders the unauthenticated experience. And then if I do that, then I don't have to have this conditional stuff here, because I can just assume that because I've rendered that page that it is in one mode or the other. So let's do that. Let's go to the core views. And so that's where we'll pick our template based on that state of the user. Importantly, we won't use any login required decorator on the index page. That isn't going to make sense. So we will do let's see. So we'll just assume. I'm actually going to assume that most people are not coming to this authenticated. That'll be the average experience, because the flow on the site is, I am using this every day, practically. I don't write the emails every day, but I get my prompts every day. I'm in through the email. And even if the index page existed, I would not be visiting the service to go check on things. That'd actually be pretty rare. So the index page is more going to be that marketing page for others. So we'll pick the default index as, we'll call it core index, and then we'll just be really explicit about it, unauthenticated. Okay, and then we'll have one conditional here that is if request user is authenticated, and this is a function. No. Okay, that's not what I wanted. What was that? Am I being dumb? It is like, is authenticated, right? Man, that's embarrassing. I'm getting that wrong. Is on. Yeah, it's okay. Yep, okay. I don't know why I was blanking out there. It's a property. So Sentry is trying to, so my Pywrite is trying to throw me off here. It's thinking that I need to call this from some Sentry integration. Get out of here. That's annoying, actually. So if the user is authenticated, then we want to do the core index HTML. And then, what? Okay, one thing at a time. Cannot, what are you talking about? Cannot access member user. User is unknown. Oh, is this because that it might be that Pyrite doesn't know? So I think the user gets attached through middleware. So it's not strictly part of the HTTP request, and Pyrite doesn't know that. No, Zephyr, that was actually what it was pointed out, is it's a property. So we don't have to call it like a function. I think you can do either. I think they've made it work either way, but I think the way they document it is as a property. Let's check though. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't want to lead anybody astray. Why are you? Okay, that's disappointing. Come on. Is authenticated. Okay. Yeah, it's called like a property. Yeah, so what happened, I see your comment about NeoVim Pyrite. Pyrite's a cool tool so it's a language server protocol implementation that's supposed to help you with Python. The challenge in this scenario is that Django is a framework that has many years under its belt. And because of that, it predates all of the typing stuff and the type annotation features that Python added years later, and is a very dynamic web framework. So it's actually kind of hard to type it well and go back and type some of these things. And the Django team is sort of taking the stance of, we're not really going to do that because it doesn't make sense for a lot of the API. There is the Django stubs package that tries to improve on some of this stuff, but I found that Django stubs actually created more problems for me than benefit. So I don't bother with it. Okay, so now we've got two views. We've got so right now this should work and show us, if we come back over here, it should still say the home thing, right? But we can come back and now clean this up. So first, let's take all this content and let's create the other one so we don't get a 10 index render error. And actually, we need to test this too. That's just occurred to me. So this is going to be the unauthenticated version. And the unauthenticated version is going to be the more marketing one. So let's take out that stuff like so. All right. Now, for the authenticated version, we can take out the other stuff like so. Now we've got our two templates, and I think we're good. If we go to our tests, we're done with the sign up page for now. Let's go to the tests on the views, and this test should still run. This was the unauthenticated test, but we also want to do an authenticated test. Make sure that that renders as well. So let's do def test authenticated self client and authenticated user gets a valid response. That is the goal we want. And it's pretty much the same tests. The thing that we need to add, do we have a user factory count? Yeah, there's a user factory. I already used the user factory somewhere. I don't remember how much I've done yet. Sometimes I like to steal from other areas of the app if I can. But I think only so far we haven't really done many view tests. We've only really been testing models and async jobs. We haven't actually needed to log in with the client. What's the method? Client to force? No, what is it? All right, hold on. Where do I need to go? PyTest Django. We want to go to Django helpers, and we want to come to fixtures. And there's a client. Force login. Yeah. So force login kind of creates the authenticated path that we want on that client. We need to give it a user. Whoops, wrong line. Force login. Doesn't really matter which user, as long as it's a user. Okay, that test runs. And as a sanity check, before we get back to the template work, I think this should get us back up to 100% coverage. No? What? Core, where does it say? Core views, missing line 10. Oh, you stinkers. Oh, dummy. Oops. I did the force login call after I actually did the get. All right. My bad. Still works. Zephyr, I think this might be 4.2. I think I haven't set up, if I recall correctly, I haven't set up, I know I haven't set up Dependabot yet. And I started this project before 5.0 came out. So we're still on 4.2. I do need to, before we're like seriously going live, we need to set up Dependabot and get into the habit of doing that. Of doing like package upgrades. Okie dokie. There are ways that you can convince the type checker to like not complain about this stuff. Like you could add your own custom HTTP subclass that has a user attribute. I remember techniques that it just gets like, it's not worth it. So I'm going to deal with what it means, unfortunately, is that I'll have some like red periodically in my apps, and that's kind of irritating. Like I'd much rather have clean errors. One of my shortcuts is for errors, but I don't remember which one it is. Nope, that's not it. Telescope. Commands? I always forget what this is. No. Yeah, I could probably type ignore it, you're right. That would get it to shut up. But then I'm like, ugh, that feels kind of gross too. What do I want to know? Is that okay? Or do I put a type ignore and say why? Like there's I don't know. There's not a perfect solution here. Telescope diagnostics. Whoops. Yeah, you can see there's a bunch of them. It's irritating. Like there's, yeah. This is just like the type information is not perfect, and therefore it complains about a bunch of things it doesn't need to complain about. What I was looking for though is telescope, and then I have, it's one of these auto commands. List. Oh, it's gonna bug me. And I know I'm like way deep in the weeds on NeoVim. Sorry, y'all. There's like a command. So I'm looking for the command that lists all of my like leader commands. Let's keep going. Key maps. That's the one. So, because I got to a point where like I'm aged enough that my brain does not remember all of my own shortcuts. So I've got all these things that are, so that's the one I was looking for. Space SD. Yeah, space is my leader key. So that's how I would have gotten that. Space SD. Yeah, same thing. So that was, I should probably just like remember telescope diagnostics. That's probably the real way to do this, but like there's just some things that are like burned into my fingers that are impossible to forget. And then some that I forget all the time. In fact, I stumbled across some the other day. I've already forgotten again what they were. Oh, I remember. It was, I had set up control space to like expand scope and subtract scope. So with control space to expand how much you're highlighting, and then control backspace to like shrink how much you're highlighting from visual mode. That's pretty slick. I just never use it. I end up doing, you know, line selection with capital V and stuff like that. Okay, enough nerding out on NeoVim. Where were we? Our focus right now is on the authenticated flow, right? We want to go in the authenticated flow, and we want the call to action button that says sign up or activate your account. So let's go back to that sign up template. And I'm coming over here because I want to steal our button here. Yeah. Let's put a content block here. And I don't actually want the input type because I don't think this will be a form. I don't think it will be. But switch this to a button. And then we have to end it. I actually have to put the, so what are we going to say? When you sign up for your subscription after a trial, what's the words that they use? Is it activate your account? Seems wrong. It's accurate, but it doesn't seem like what they would tell you. And like apps that I've used, I guess should say. It's not starting your trial though. It's just that like it's ending your trial, because once you've because the sign up is what starts your trial, and then the clock is ticking. And if I'm not even doing because I got around this on School Desk because I had both a monthly plan and an annual plan, and so the actual like getting you into your session was go monthly or go annual was like a very clear call to action in that way of like, hey, you're about to commit to this. But if I'm only going to do one plan, I don't know. I don't know what the best text is here. All right, let's see how that looks. Whoops. Killed the server. Okay. Maybe it's also time to lock in some more space. If I come over here and I come to the like a private tab and do that, we've got nothing. It says track your journey. Can't see anything. But if we go to the sign up page, we've got sign up, and it's right at the top. But what I'm thinking I might need, in the absence, if we don't have, we might eventually have like a header bar, or just a header that is like giving us the right amount of space. But if we don't have that yet, maybe we just need to like throw some padding at the top of the base template. That feels like the right thing to do probably. So if we've got margin here, and then let's see. What if we did just PT12? Kind of drops it down. How's that feel? Kind of like, yeah, banner. I guess what I was getting at, John, is like well, make it real clear. I think ultimately a lot of sites have this just, the things that you click on, the quick access links of how do you get back to the main page, what are the primary navigation links. I think those might ultimately go up there. I don't know. Maybe the app will be so simple that we don't actually do that. So we don't have a logo yet. We don't really have a bunch of colors yet. We could throw something up there and slap slap some text up there, call it Journey Inbox. Try it, maybe. Actually, I'm going to take off my flux here. That's not flux. So I can see some of these colors. I'm going to do some template design. Ooh, right. I think my face started getting brighter too in that process. Okay, so let's try this. Let's not do PT12. Instead, let's put a div at the top. For the moment, we'll give it a fixed height. Maybe the height will be 12. I don't know. And we'll do BG Lime 800. That's our green. We want to do a full width across, and then we need to end this. I'm gonna write Journey Inbox in here just to see something. Come over here. Okay, cool. That seems neat. I think we still need that PT12 because we don't want stuff, or maybe not 12, but we'll play with it. And then I think the way to get this, I'm gonna do the another container in the top here. We'll do div class container. That way it'll do the same exact breakpoints for the banner as with the actual content area. Whoops, why did that not do that? Oh, because we need MX auto. So it did give the right width on it, it just didn't center it. Okay, now we're cooking. Let's do... I'm gonna give this I'm gonna wrap this in a div because I'm gonna turn this into a flex box. And do that. And we'll do a flex, and it's gonna be flex row. Yeah. Item center. That's really what I'm after right now, is like the spacing that in the middle. Oh, boo. What did it? Justify center? Nope, that's not it. I thought for sure it was item center. I'm trying to go the vertical spacing on that, but maybe it's only relative to other components. Now the item center is like for the whole thing. Justify items? No. That puts at the end. Item center. Thought it was this, like align items, center. Items. Stretch. Start. Oh, you know what it is? So there's only one box. So it's the content inside. All right. I bet this will be, once we highlight some of these things, we'll see why this isn't working. So let's hold on. Forgot to save. Let's put it back on item center, send it back over there. And what you'll see is what's really happening is that the div is just barely fitting around this text. So there's nothing to center. It's not like not using 100% of the height. So since it's not using that height, there's nothing to center. It's staying on that like area. So if we did like make it maximize that height. Oh yeah, I'm gonna change. Yeah, good call. I do intend to change that text color, and we'll play around with it. We won't get super fancy. Yep, I'm with you at the same point there, Zephyr. Is I think we want on that div class. So we've got a fixed height in the container on the parent 2 up, the H12. We do H full. Is that what we want? Will that work? No. What are the height things? Or is it a min height thing? No, you're all good, Zephyr. It's all good. Min height max? Will that work? Min height full? Min height full? Min height full. Let's move this down here so I don't have to click so far. No. My CSS experience is okay, but clearly like deficient sometimes. All right, okay. Let's get cheap about this. Let's just do this a different way. Instead of doing this and trying to like instead of fixing this height here, let's not do that. Instead, let's come to into the padding on, well, we can do the padding here, px, or does it go here or down in here? Or not px, py 8. There we go. So it's way too big, but you get the idea. py 4, and then we can do, I never, I see your comment there about margin and the child. I never really like have a consistent thought process for how to pick margin or padding. Like I just kind of get a feel for what seems right for me. So I'm not really sure on what the best path is there. Let's play a little bit with the text size. So let's do maybe text XL, and let's set it to, what happens if there's different ways that this look could go. This one, no, that's not what is the weight? Font weight. Semi-bold, didn't I? Font semi-bold, I do text. I don't know if I want to go on the like very in your face kind of feel on this, or the other side, the like extra light, where you go on the refined kind of side. For now, let's go like big and bold feeling and kind of chunky, and let's try tracking. Let's like increase the space of the letters too. Or does that look stupid? Let's put it all the way out at the most extreme to start. Yeah, it just kind of looks goofy. I think the tracking stuff, when you set, so the tracking is like space between each letter, right? And then the leading is space between lines. Fun fact. So I took a course in college, and it was in the basement of a library at the school. And it was near I went to the University of Virginia, and it was the special, well, it was next to our special collections library. So basically a bunch of really old books. And the course was in our College of Arts and Sciences, even though I was in the engineering school. And it was the subject matter was on the history of printmaking. So I learned about all sorts of wild stuff. It was a really interesting course at this basement of this library basement. So I learned about tracking, leading, fonts. Like the professor brought out these old like boxes of literal font types that they would use on the printing presses and stuff. And leading, if you don't know, is they would literally use like strips of lead to put separators between the different rows of text. And if you want to increase the leading, you're literally adding these extra rows here. And so that's where that term actually comes from. Oh, you consider going to UVA? It just feels strange to have these spaced out at that point. In fact, like, what happens if we go like black? Let's keep moving it up. Bold, extra bold, black. Let's see how they look. Just kind of having fun here, playing with some of these colors. Whoops. Bold, not much difference. Extra bold. It starts getting like feeling a bit much. Black. What if, okay. Now that one's feeling almost claustrophobic because it's so close together, but what if I did black with tracking wider? How's that gonna look? Okay. I don't know, maybe. And maybe there's a secondary color here. Oh, line and type operator, that's cool. Let's go to text. Actually, I like seeing it through the background colors because when you look at the text colors, it's like on the white text, it's hard to really see stuff. Background color. And I'm thinking like, okay, if we were truly sticking with the foresty mountain trail theme, a logical pairing with green would be a brown in my mind. Maybe there's a brown, like what we could like two-tone the logo text just as an experiment to see if one of them looks okay. So we've got all these like cool colors, and well, it's not all cool, but there's color palette down here. The browns are up here with they're on the dark side of the yellows and the oranges and ambers. So that's our space for this. It's like too cool. So we have a set of browns to play with. We can either pick from like a burgundy, a dark red here. Not sure that would work. Especially if like that doesn't feel right for accessibility stuff. Like green and red, I don't really want to pair that together. Got some brown options down here. We could go deep brown with the orange 950 here. Okay, personal design aesthetic. I like orange. My favorite color. I actually, when I got out of school, when I got out of UVA is also orange and blue. There we go. But when I got out of school, I got really into Linux, and I got really into Ubuntu, to the point where I was like in the IRC, like actually, I would even go and look at the IRC logs, like the official logs that were saved off to a web page, and like just read back through the scroll. I had way more time on my hands than I should have. But out of that, like with the Ubuntu stuff, I really love the brown. I love that old brown vibe that they mixed in with the orange. Eventually, they went with the more of the purple and orange, and they like really punched it up. But something about that like 6.06 time frame. Let's see, Dapper Drake. Is that Ubuntu? That was the code name. Oh, come on. Yeah, there it is. I have a bad connection. No data. Sorry if I'm coming in and out. This is not cool. Hey, maybe I'm back. Anyway, I don't know how much of you got that you caught. Maybe it jumped around. But I was saying I like the orange and brown vibe of Ubuntu. And so this classic desktop, this swirl pattern, something like really appealed to me about that. So when I'm looking at these colors and I see these like dark orangey tones, it reminds me fondly of that stuff. I don't know if they actually pair well on like from a color theory, color wheel aspect, but we can play with it. So let's try, just for fun. So let's see how like the BG orange or the text orange looks on this. And we can do that, I guess, by taking this, and we're going to split this up into 2 spans, because I want to be able to experiment with both words and see if one of them looks better than the other. But let's start. Yeah, the people behind Tailwind, man, they really built a great product. It is very cohesive. I know they like, I've listened to this on the podcast with them, and the designer, I'm drawing a blank on his name, Steve Shoger, I think is his name, really like poured a lot of himself into thinking about color selection. So let's try text orange 950 on that first word and see how it looks. You can barely even tell. It just looked like a little too dark. What if we bring it up in the palette? Let's bring it up to 800. And we might decide that actually these are closer to the browns that we would want to have the theme that we want. But let's just play with some numbers here. Let's do 800. Ooh, that didn't work. I don't know if how well you can see that, but it's like radioactive to my eyes. It does not work right. 900 just feels sort of washed out. 700, do you think go past it? I don't know if maybe it was my monitor, but like it was literally just hard. Like something about my perception, the edges of the letters like does not dig that. I don't know. Maybe it needs to opacity adjustment. Yeah, maybe. Let's try some amber stuff, like deep amber of amber 900. I feel like this. I'm wondering if this is emphasizing the wrong word. Like if it's about your journey, because one thing that's for certain on here is when this is the darker word, inbox just pops out at your like in a wicked way. And that alone could be telling. Like maybe so let's try, just for the moment, let's do class text amber. Let's like switch these. Amber 900 and nope. White. I think that green background is like, I think if we wanted to do this with like two-toning the actual words, I'm not sure that it would work on that green background. Because that's just that high contrast. The other thing we could try is get a very, very light, like just a very subtle on the other word. Maybe BG orange 100 on this. Because that would, what that would do, I think what it would do is it would give that separation to the two words, but they'd look pretty close. Yeah, maybe even darker. That's working. I'm almost wondering if it gets too subtle. But that's not bad. Like, so that where did I end up? That's orange 300. So we're here. I mean, we could really, let's ham it up for a minute. Let's like go to what I think would be extreme, like just pure orange. That seems like too much, and then they can kind of like back off from that and step it down. That orange 300 is feeling kind of nice. Because it's not like I don't want orange to be the theme. It's like it's more of like a, how do you, almost this, kind of close-ish to this color, the shirt that I'm wearing, but I guess it's actually a little darker than I think I would want, but. Let's keep playing with it. See, that feels sort of yellowy. And that gets us back to the 300, which is kind of a pale. All right, let's look at, so that's the orange option. So 300 feels okay. I feel like the straight up yellows are going to be too yellow, too bright. Although, I don't know, we'll try. So let's, actually, you know what, we can do a couple of these. Just have them side to side. And then play with some, have some options here. So orange 300 is one option. Let's try yellow 200. And y'all, this is basically my design process. I don't actually show this portion much, but when I'm doing designs, I just kind of bang on things until they feel okay to me. All right, that's yellow 200. I don't know that I like it. 300, 400. Let's get them all in there. I'll tell you, when I see the last one, my brain just goes to Subway. Eat fresh, right? You know, like that's not what I'm going for. I don't think that's a winner. Let's go down to definitely don't be Jared. No, that guy's awful. Let's try one of the really dark ones to see if it works at all, and then if not, we'll just say nah, no thanks. Nah, I don't think that's working for me. Like if I'm looking at that last journey inbox versus the first one feels way better. So I think the light colors are directionally feeling better than the dark ones on this. So we tried light orange. Let's try a lighter green. Oh, that's a good thought, John. The yellows don't feel right. I'm gonna say no to the yellows. We can do, actually, let's do a quick check on the ambers, I think. Did we try the light ambers? They may not work either, but let's give them a quick shot. So amber, 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 and then 400. They're better than the yellows. The yellows are too strong. Like this is more of especially like this one. I mean, it's still too much Subway vibe to me, but the color there is a bit more goldenrod, which has a just like a warmer tone to it to me than like a straight yellow. But still, I think the orange is still winning out in terms of like an earthiness. Okay, so we've got. I'm going to rule out ambers. I'm going to rule out yellows. I think the other thing we can try is we can play with a little bit of the greens, like John suggested here. And we might want to stick with the lime stuff, because my feeling with the green, most likely, is that the green families will not play nicely together. So like if I have a green, if it's a lime, what do we say, lime 800, and then we have green is like gonna feel super minty in comparison. We can try. Let's go to green, green, green. And that mintiness, that blue, that slight like blue tint to it, like definitely doesn't feel foresty to me. That's what I think of. Where my take is going with that. And emerald's going to be even more so, right? Let's try emerald. Shamrock. Yeah, no way. Doesn't work for me. So let's go to lime. But then I think that the limes, we got to be careful, because the limes are like radioactive, right? Like, well, I was okay. I want to see more. That's because I didn't anticipate this, but I like that lime 400 more than I thought I would. Let's go up with a scale and change them to 5, 6. No, it's maybe too extreme, but I think what I liked about it is that it was like kind of punchy, or maybe it just reminds me of Django. I don't know, because Django's colors are actually, Django does kind of lean into the foresty green with the more of the bluish tint in their green. So I guess we're not like Django in that sense, but okay. So here's all right. Oh well, of course, if you get too close to the 800, it's just going to fade out. So really, this of these, honestly, like this like super vibrant one is intriguing to me. Like this one's just terrible contrast, so 700 is definitely out. And then this kind of seems like muted still, so I don't care for 600. This one's too washed out to be noticeable, is my take. So the 200's out. And yeah, I think between these three, I find this one to be the most intriguing. So the lime 400 or the orange 300. Now, we want to go really extreme. Not really extreme. Oh, come on, let's be real. We could try. You're at the optometrist. Yeah. How are your eyes? I think like this might be too much, but yeah, this is like this combination. Well, what is that? Okay, maybe I've got sandwich shops in my mind. What is that? Is that Quiznos? No, Quiznos is like green and red, right? Quiznos. How about they have that here's that brown color, and then they've got a green. Okay. I'm probably off here. More still Subway? Yeah. So this is that orange, like I feel like I've seen this color pairing somewhere. This like kind of muted orange and a limey green color. So, okay. I'm not really digging the color combo. That's like too much. So the question for me is, do I want, is like the white and the brown feel good, or the white and the green? What do y'all think? Any opinions? I'm probably, actually, now that I get it down to this, I think we will have more versatility if we pick this brown. Because then we could do accent colors that are clearly like, so the green becomes like, we can move up and down that lime scale if we want to. Like this could be like, we could use some of that green like very subtly. I don't know what that would work on actually. Maybe icons. I'm not sure. It may not work at all. But then having this orange as a secondary option gives us a little bit of color palette without getting too crazy. All right, so I'm gonna go with the orange right now. And so we've got, we're using a thick font. I wonder if we should, I'm gonna play with this one second just on the font size. Now let's keep it extra large is probably fine for now. And let's poke on the tracking just briefly to see if widest looks any. No, I think it starts to lose. It starts to get that like loss of cohesion thing, where if you want to do that, you got to pick the really lightweight fonts. So let's keep it at the wider to kind of keep it tight together. Okay. So now we've got this. I guess we can get rid of, we're already text white, so we don't need an extra span. We just need the span on the second word. Right? There we go. Cool. Okay. Enough styling for now. This gets us enough that, yeah, well, let's do one more thing to finish this off. So now that we have this, let's put a link on it. So href equal, and we'll do the URL tag, and this will be the core index. And we'll put it here. Whoops. What? Oh. I think I just called it index. I didn't give this a namespace. There we go. So we got that. It's one thing we can do. Oh, here's a cool thing. Here's a cool thing I learned about Tailwind recently. So Tailwind has these new, or I feel they're new to me anyway. I don't know if they're new to all of you, but there are these filters you can add. And you can put them on like whole groups of things and it will change the entire selection. So brightness is something we can do. And we can do like We can say on this, well, I guess let's put it on the actual href. So if we say hover, brightness 110. What's going on here? Oh, I put that inside the wrong thing. What? Didn't actually increase. Oh, boo. It's very subtly, so it's not going to do anything to the white because white's already as bright as it can go, right? So it increases the inbox. I was hoping it would increase the green too, but the green is on the class above it. So what if we can I put, what if I redo this again? If I say, in order to make this work, repeat the background color inside of here. Will this work now? There we go. Oh, and then it reveals a problem. We don't have any horizontal padding. Okay. So how about just, well, no. Let's do px2. There we go. Now we got a little highlighted link that increases all the brightness in one fell swoop. Does it kind of consistently. In the past, that was much harder to do because what you'd have to do is you'd have to go like to each color that you might have in there, and you like set a hover color to a specific shade. Now you just increases the brightness, and I don't remember how that rule works out or what CSS feature that is. Actually, that's a curious thing. Let's go check it out. Let's check out this. So it's got a hover style, probably. What is it on hover? So brightness. It's a filter CSS attribute. Wow. Well, that is really interesting. There's like CSS variables in here. Oh man, CSS is so different from what I learned initially. It's crazy. Okay, good enough. I am super glad I did not have to write any of that. This is part of why I think Tailwind is awesome. I think we have enough style, and I think we're ready to think a little bit more. Like, this stream started out as like, we're going to do stripe stuff, right? We've barely done any stripe stuff. We've talked about the pieces we're going to do, but actually haven't done all that much directly. But we now have our Activate Account button. This is going to be our button that, if we're following the basic checkout flow, it'd be nice if this just like directed us straight to a Stripe page. That's where we want to go. So actually we need to, there needs to be a conditional on this button of like, we don't want to show this button if you have an activated account. Like that's not cool. Should I write that down somewhere? I probably should write it down so we remember it. So let's see. Call to action on index page only when account is not active. I don't know that that's going to be sufficient because you think about this, there's potentially like multiple states where you might want to get back into this of if your trial's expired, that's one kind of person you are. but maybe your account, something happened and your account deactivated for whatever reason, so you might want to come back in later. I think I'm overthinking it right now. I think for now, we just, if you're not active, then we show this. It's probably the simplest way to go. And active means a couple of different states, right? Nope, wrong thing. Active is inactive statuses. So here's where we get the advantage of knowing that we're rendering in an authenticated context. In an authenticated context, it means that you have gone through the signup process. And one of the guarantees out of the signup process is that this post-save receiver will run, which means you're guaranteed to have an account that is attached to your user record. So we can, with confidence in this code, we can do this. We can say if the user account status, that's one of its fields, is in user account, and then we can access the active statuses through the account instance as like this, active statuses, or I guess we want to say not in, then we want to end this thing. So we only want to show the button when you are like trialing or not in an active state. And I think doing that, actually, since we're doing this with my admin account, the test account, this might make the button go away. Yeah, because the admin account is one of these, what am I trying to say? It's set to exempt so that it doesn't have to go, it's not a trial account. If we want to test this properly, we should log in with a different account. So let's go back to the admin, look for a user that we could log in as, and then switch to that. So we've got a bunch of testing accounts, and I'd probably use the same password for all of them. Let's try one of those. Let's log out, and then do accounts, log in, and oh man, I thought it was username. What was it? Testing at somewhere.com. Boo, that was not it. Shoot. All right, fine. Let's go back to the admin. Testing at somewhere.com. Okay, so it was testing, but it maybe wasn't activated. Surely one of these. So I have like a default password that is in my brain. I don't use it on anything real. I just like learned it at a previous job and it's stuck. In fact, I'll type it out. It's Witty Pero, because again, I don't use it on anything. But one of my previous bosses, he said use this password, and like I don't know why that stuck with me, but it did. So most of these should have that same password, assuming that they're verified. Maybe that's the thing we need to check. Which ones are verified? Is that first one didn't get verified? That's probably it. So let's try testing 6. Log out. Let's go to account, log in. Testing 6 at somewhere.com. Witty Pero. There we go. Why is that not showing? Boo. So either I got that logic wrong or that account we set to an active status. If user account status not in Active statuses. Oh, is a trial considered an active status? Oh, phooey. It is. Okay, so we got to be more explicit. So let's do this. We want to say we can reach the enumeration again through the account here. So it's going to look a little weird, but it's valid. So we reach the enum through the instance, which goes to the class and gets to the status integer choice. And then we can say trialing. So this account should be, whoa, unused status trialing at end of if expression? What? Oh, I didn't actually do an equality check. Okay. There we go. So that's one way you can access these attributes. And this is actually, so I did this on purpose as a nested class, because if you don't, because I've seen other ways of doing this. Let's say you put the status class outside of the model class, and then like you wanted to go in the template, you wanted to make some kind of choice about a status, then you would have to inject the status integer choice into your template context in order to get it. So this is kind of like a hack. Not a hack, it's just an easy way to add this to your stuff. So now we know we have the state where it's going to be trialing. And Zephyr, I think I might be with you there. Like it might be time for me to call a wrap on this. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do next time, because I think I should be here next week. Yeah, I'm still around next week. And then we'll get going there. So, and I'm going to write this down this time because I had a slow start. So it's like I need a very focused thing. So what we need to do, I'll put it in like big bold things. We'll do what's next. We want to have our CTA. So this is done. We've got our CTA on the index page, and we only show it when the account is well, we show it when the account is trialing, not when it's not active, but when the account is trialing. That's the state we'll have for now. We can deal with those other edge cases in the future of somebody who's like let their trial or let their active account expire and they want to come back. That's a future problem. So what's next is what happens when the user clicks the call to action. So we need to launch into Stripe, which is what they call I think it's a checkout session. I think that's what we're setting up. So our job is going to be, okay, now we know that user wants to sign up. There's only going to be a single plan. Keep it super simple. And the button will launch them straight into that plan. We're going to figure out if we even need to create a price on the other side, like that example view that we saw did not create a price. It had a price object of any kind. It just said, hey, this is going to be the price of this thing, and here's the product, and here's some information. That's it. So this would be cool if we could do this. That would skip a step, like a configuration step that we have to have on the Stripe side, which would be nice. I'm guessing that there are some downsides to this approach, but I don't know. So we'll investigate the Stripe API a little bit to get that going. We'll be able to use, actually now this time I'm going to copy this thing, and we can say use this views to guide us on the data needed to create and trigger the session. Okay. So I think that's the big thing we need to work on. All these other things. So we're going to say, actually, now that we've got this, I'm going to go ahead and make the call. We're not going to do the embedded approach. So I think we can squiggle that out. That should strike it. Because it just doesn't feel necessary for what's needed here. Let's try and keep it simple. And actually, let's set this up as like a check mark to do thing. But I know that we're going to need a line here in order to make GitHub not go crazy. This view is getting a little busy. But that's okay. Or this issue, I mean. So that's next time. That we'll get into this, be able to hit the ground running, because I'll have a reminder. That's my own fault for it's been a couple of weeks since I've actually streamed. So apologies for the slow start there if you were joining in early. But I think we really got into it. I think we're in a good spot. We've got a basic looking page now. The flow is going to be really mindless here. We can put a bit of like marketing copy above it to like give people a clue of what's going on when they actually see that. And I think that's it for now. So with that, I'll say thank you all for joining in. If you want to support me, you can. You don't have to, but the easiest thing you could do to support me is like give a thumbs up or a like or a comment, subscribe, all of those good things. In fact, when I said that, did you see that button light up? I've been noticing this on YouTube, is that when someone says like and subscribe, that it does like it's making the subscribe button like have a little glow thing around it. I don't know how that's happening, if they're detecting voice stuff or what. But anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. If you want to support me financially, you're welcome to. There's a YouTube subscription thing here. There's also patreon.com, where you can find me at patreon.com/mblayman. I have accounts over there. I want to thank my patrons that I do have. There are a handful of them. Andrew, Patrick, and Shivan and Monty, I think, were the ones that were active. So thank you all. I'm still hoping to take some of that money, invest in a real desk here, and improve the setup. Thanks, John. I do have a book that is available for purchase on Amazon. It's called Understand Django, which walks you through lots of stuff about Django, and I think it's pretty good. I'll be working on an audiobook this year, but I won't let that dissuade you from buying a paperback or an ebook if you want to. And with that, I'll bid y'all a fine evening. Take care.